Okay, welcome to the lesson today. Today we're looking at questions in English, and with questions in past simple you will often, but not always, you will often see an auxiliary verb. Auxiliary verb in past simple is did. In present simple it's do or does, but in past simple it's did. Auxiliary verb means not the main verb, but auxiliary means helping. It's a helping verb. It helps you to make a question. That's what you should understand. Did helps you to make a question. Where did you go? Who did you go with? Where did you stay? And remember that the main verb is in the first form. It's not went because it's a question and it's after did. So where did you go, first form. Who did you go with? Not who did you went with. It's a very typical mistake. And where did you stay? Not where did you stayed. Okay, so we need this auxiliary verb for some questions. And I'm going to show you which questions we need auxiliary verbs for. Now, to find out if we need an auxiliary verb, we need to answer the question to make it very clear. So, where did you go? Maybe I went on holiday. I went to Spain. I went to Spain. Now, I want you to notice that where we answer this question with the last word in the sentence. Where is Spain? Where did you go? I went to Spain. So the question word is the object. This is actually the object, we call it in English. It is not the subject. The subject is I. I went to Spain. Who did you go with? I went with my brother. Again, my brother is the last word of the sentence. My brother is at the end of the sentence, and this means that it is the object of the sentence. Okay, it is not the subject of the sentence, it is the object of the sentence. My brother is the object. He is the object. He is the last word. Okay, and the last question, I stayed at a hotel. A hotel is where I stayed. So again, the question word where is the object. It's not the subject. So when we answer the question where, Spain, it's the last word of the answer. Who, my brother, it's the last word of the answer again. And where, a hotel, it's the last word of the answer. If the last word of the answer answers the question word, then we need the auxiliary verb did. Now I want to show you some situations where we don't need an auxiliary verb because the question word is subject. It's the first word. Okay, if we look at these three questions, there is no auxiliary verb. There is no did for the questions in past simple. No auxiliary verb, no did in 1 or 2, which are in past simple. And there is no do or does in number 3, which is present simple. Why? Okay, again, I want to answer the question to show you why. And I will show you that the answer of the question, the first word, always answers the question. The first word is what we call subject in English, subject. So, who wrote Romeo and Juliet? I'm sure everybody knows that Shakespeare wrote Romeo and Juliet. Shakespeare. So the answer to the question is the first word now. The answer to the question is the subject. Subject. Question word is subject. Shakespeare wrote War and Peace. Wrote Romeo and Juliet. Yeah, I'll put R and J. Shakespeare wrote Romeo and Juliet. Which team won the World Cup? I can't remember who it was last time, but let's say Brazil. I know they win it very often. Brazil won the World Cup. Okay, again, the question is answered by the first word. Brazil won the World Cup. So because the question is answered with the first word, we must use no auxiliary verb. Question word, which team, is subject. Brazil is subject of the answer. It is the first word. Okay, and the last question, which country makes the best cars? Now, I don't know, I'm not a driver. I should warn you all that I can't drive. But perhaps some people say, I've heard it said before, Germany. So if we put Germany, the first word answers the question. The first word of the answer. Germany makes the best cars. It makes the best cars. So if you're choosing, if you want to choose if you need an auxiliary verb or you don't need an auxiliary verb, an easy way to do it is to answer the question and decide, does the first word of the answer your question, or does the last word of the answer your question? For example, just to show you again with an auxiliary, if the answer is Romeo and Juliet, well then we need an auxiliary. For example, what did Shakespeare write? Yeah, what did Shakespeare write? Can you see where I'm writing this? Yeah, just about. What did Shakespeare write? Here we need an auxiliary because Shakespeare wrote Romeo and Juliet. So what did Shakespeare write? Or if we want to say, what did Brazil win? They won the World Cup. The World Cup answers the question. It's the last word. It's the object. So we need an auxiliary. And here we could do the same. We could say, what does Germany make? Germany makes the best cars. So it all depends on whether it's the last word which answers your question, which means it's the object, or if it's the first word which answers your question, which means it's the subject and there's no auxiliary. Okay, I hope that is clear. If you have any questions or criticisms or comments, please put them under the video and I will answer them. They help everybody. And if you would like to try a quiz on this grammar, please try the quiz which is just under the video.